about being buried by thousands of tons of molten lava.
All right, everybody, it's our Clow here, and as always, I am beyond excited to be able to share this information with y'all today. Never necessarily thrilled about the tone of the information that I'm sharing, but I'm always very excited to be able to share it with those of you capable of understanding, in the hopes that it helps you to be further empowered as we navigate these increasingly turbulent times here. So worth noting there, the spoken part at the beginning is actually from Botch's last live performance back in 2002 before their 21-year hiatus, from their song Hutton's Great Heat Engine, again about Rainier erupting and just annihilating all of us. And the piano, fun side note, is actually a melody that's been going through my head that I've been just kind of working on the past few days here while I've been putting this video together. So all of that to say, in regards to today's video, typically I kind of slow walk through some of this and, really, again, just take my time in explaining this for those who may have just happened to stumble across the channel. But in recognition of the vast majority of my views being from my actual subscription base, and me being shadow banned, all these other fun things, I am going to present this information as if you all know what I'm talking about and are here for it. So lots of love and respect to those of you who are here, who do support the channel. And if this is your first time, welcome. Please check out the other videos. They'll give you more of an introduction. So with all of that, let's get right into this. Again, relative perspective here from my subjective interpretation of all of these different pieces. And we're going to be spanning today everything from Botch to HBO's The Last of Us. We're going to be talking about WrestleMania 39, Woody Harrelson, a whole host of other things. And the intention, as always, is to show you how all of these seemingly unrelated variables, pieces, are actually very deeply interwoven, and the way in which all of these events unfold is typically never actually organic, but is actually a part of a very meticulously calculated plan to bring about this new world. So with that being said, let's start on the left side of your screen, and as you can see, I'm wanting to begin by going in this span of time from Botch's latest single, 122, being released on 8/24 of last year, to April 2nd of this year, 2023. And you can see pretty clearly there, it's this total of 222 days. Now, when this April 2nd date came onto my radar, it was in relation to, on the right side of your screen, you can see with the code 16 over here, we had the numbers 2, 4, and in that video, we looked at that as, maybe it's the 24th, the day that this song came out, all these other things. And today I'm going to flip it, and we're going to look at it as April 2nd. And it is interesting to me because April 2nd just so happens to be the last day that the mask order here in Washington State is going to be in place. Now, I really just want to reference that on the outset here to give a little bit of foundation. And then it also turns out April 2nd this year will be the second day of WrestleMania 39. So again, we're going to get into all of that as we go. That 222 up there, hold on to it. You can see it's littered all throughout today's video. But I want to go here in kind of this sequential manner. So let's look at the span of time from the COVID pandemic's official start date of March 11th, 2020 to April 2nd of this year. And then you will notice that just so happens to be 3 years and 23 days. Now, the simple value for 323 gives us 2023, our current year, and that also happens to be the year in which The Last of Us on HBO is predominantly set. So hold on to all of that. Again, we've got a lot of pieces to establish before we really integrate them all together here, but that is pretty major. And I want you to also see the connections here to the master thelemic phrase, love is the law, love under will, and of course how that ties into thelema and the number 93. And think about as well, we're going to be talking about WrestleMania 39 today. Yeah, guess what? That's a mirrored 93. So we're going to have some pretty phenomenal pieces that we just, again, interweave here. But I want you to see, again, you can see on the right side of your screen more connections to 222. Again, these are lyrics from this Botch single 122. All of the things, I'm going to tap back on those, but this 323 is actually super crucial, because if y'all remember back to my Chelsea Wolf video, let's go back here. And I'm going to play this little clip for you because you can see, again, this is uploaded September 14th, 2019. And let's just listen to this day getting flagged out. Chelsea Wolf's coding 114 for New World, The Tower, World War, all of these big things. And her initials, 323 from those letters. It's a date that's been on my mind for 2020, and since it is going to be a leap year, that will actually be the 83rd day. All right, so how all of that connects, of course, but in plain English there, I did say March 23rd, 2020 was a day that I was, concerned about. And that Chelsea Wolf video is all about the American Darkness tour. Now, I certainly connected that idea of American Darkness to a shutdown, right? And on March 23rd of 2020, what the fuck happened? Right here in Washington, Governor Inslee announced his stay-home order. He ordered the American Darkness order, all right? And so the fact that I was able to tune into that the way that I was, well before, is most certainly worth mentioning. And typically I don't do that because I don't want to sound pretentious. I don't want to this, I don't want to that. But, it's important that we actually hold this truth that I actually do have quite a few accurate, pieces and predictions throughout all of this, right? Now, least of which the actual fucking pandemic. But notice here as well, though, we can look at that date as 23-3. So that 233 is actually very crucial. And on the right side of your screen, I want you to see, and again, this is from another video in 2019, but I had this phrase, World War III and Lebanon, written for that numbers coding. And to be honest, I was not entirely sure at the time. Sometimes I put these things in here and, because it just intuitively feels like the thing I'm supposed to do. And we're going to get to this a little later on, but I do, again, kind of want to establish here that in The Last of Us, in this first episode, this very pivotal scene here in which a little girl is fixing her dad's watch, and the shop owner's wife comes out and, kicks her out because shit is getting real. And just prior to that, we are shown Lebanon. Right now, I'm going to break down this much later in this video here, as well as the time of 3:15, all of these other just crucial pieces. But again, I want that on your radar right now. All right, so let's jump back over here to this coding. And as we get ready to, kind of transcend into the meat of this video, let's also review for this 222 here. Let's get a couple more examples on the board. So you saw from that 316 coding, right? COVID-19, pandemic, all of that, had that 222 written out. Remember, my video telling you that the span of time from the false flag attacks in 2001 to the false flag pandemic of 2020 was exactly 222 months. All right, in that 18 years, 6 months. And remember, it just so happened that the span of 186 days was between my first COVID video and the Chelsea Wolf video. So again, you can see all of those pieces there. So far from coincidental, it is laughable. But I want all of that on the board for you, all right? So now take a look back to the left side of your screen, because here we go again with this 222 number, and I might have neglected this piece initially here, but so this is actually connected to Kiss's final tour, right? End of the road, all of these things, blah, blah, blah. But notice that the final date is December 2nd. That's 122. And it's in New York, New York. All right. And so if we go back here and we just are looking at this, the end of the road tour, and we can see, right, New York, New York, September 11 attack, right? These big pieces, mandatory vaccination, Wuhan coronavirus, the vaccine is dangerous, right? All well established, all things that I certainly hope all of you know and try to promulgate with those that you talk about. But look here as well, you have event 201 written out. Now, we were talking about the possibility of a pandemic, a plague in 2019 prior to, learning about this event. But again, this took place in New York, New York, and you can see that it was put on in conjunction with not only Johns Hopkins, but also the World Economic Forum and Bill and Melinda Gates, right? All of these things. And then we come back here, and right there you have your World Economic Forum, all of these other things, these impossible coincidences, right, that will otherwise be written off as conspiracy theories. All right, so fuck around and find out. I love the coding for this. Now, I also want to point out here this natural born killers coming up, because we're going to be talking about Woody Harrelson today, who, on this channel has been a very familiar name because of his role as Mickey Knox, and of course the movie with that same Natural Born Killers title. But I also want to tie that into some previous research here. So remember my video asking why are they comparing COVID to 9/11, right? All the things, the stay home false flag. Obviously, I was honed in on that 323. But notice here, I just so happened to put this video out on April 2nd, 2020. Right, and so again, with 42 being a very big number here, and again, in this video, I was talking about these oncolytic viruses and them being cited as natural-born killers. So just a brief snippet from this video. So you have here from the European Biotech, right, Life Science and Industry magazine, an article talking about oncolytic viruses as natural-born killers. This is a cover story, and it talks about the connection to the company Amgen. And so I'm going to leave that for anybody who wants to follow that video out. But I also want to show you here, again, while we're still kind of in this 323 neighborhood, because I jumped past this one, notice that the span of time for the stay-home order here in Washington being declared to April 2nd of this year is 1,106 days. All right. And believe it or not, you drop the zero here, right? It's 116, and the simple value for April 2nd written out is 116. Now, this is going to come up later in the video, so I want to establish that now. But look here, it's 3 years, 11 days, right? Just like the fucking pandemic was declared on 3/11. 3 times 11 is 33, right? Mirrored is 11/3, a number I was most certainly obsessed with And the last piece for that is just looking at this 36 months, remembering that the 36th triangular number is actually 666. And of course, right, 11 is a chief magic number. But so with all of that, and we jump back here, excuse me, to all of our coding, and again, looking at this 222 number, I want you to be able to see as well here when we jump into the top 2 songs on Botch's Spotify are Afghanistan and 122, and they've been the top songs for a while. It's very interesting to me that Afghanistan has been number 1. It's another song related to being just totally fucked in the wake of Rainier, and it's their only slow song. Now, I did just so happen to be at that show on February 17th down in Tacoma. They did play this song. It was very very chilling, very ominous. It was a wonderful fucking show. I'm not going to go obviously too far into all of that, but again, all of that to say that when we put those two together and we get this simple value of 297, look again, you have written out 222. And so these 222s are just littering the coding here today. Now, I want to show you one other piece here to keep building in. Now, for the 5 of you, bless all of you, who interacted with this post I put out the other day, I was talking about that it had been 174 days since my last post, which just so happened to be on 9/11 last year. But again, connecting it to Fauci's just, disgraceful fucking self, saying that I don't recall a total of 174 times during his little trick and pony show deposition. But so again, that symbol of 174, not only these ideas of New World Order following the science, but 222. All right, so now hold that, but I want you to see here as well, I don't recall written out does have a simple value of 113. Now, we of course could look at that in relation to what we were just looking at over here with this 311, right? These are obvious mirrors of each other. But the other thing that I want to tune you into, and we'll get more to this later, but again, I think it's good foundationally, in The Last of Us, the final time that we're shown on the evening before it's a full-on fungal outbreak, whatever, is 11:03. Now, for those of you familiar with the channel, you know that my devotion to this number has really been something, is a landmark number. I'm not going to go too far into things on that right now, but again, I'm wanting to indicate to you the significance of all of that. So, again, you put all of this together and you start to get something incredibly compelling. But what I also want you to see here in this coding is the idea of predictions, secret plan, and December 2, right? Just like the final date for Kiss's farewell tour, right? 122, 122. I know all of you see this, right? And so just for fun, here is potentially, if it'll show it here, there you go. Fauci saying, right, don't recall 174 times. For those of you that, want that as well, you have it. But so let's jump back here. There you go, giving it all. And I want to do a couple of other things here. So you also see, of course, references to the global population reduction, that 444 written out, but you also have 237 written out. Now, of course, this is a huge fucking number. Everything from its role in The Shining, right? Of course, in Kubrick's film, it is, the room that Danny goes into where, whatever the fuck happens and, he's really traumatized. Of course, in the book, it was 217. Now, of course, right, Botch just so happening to reemerge on 217 is no coincidence. But, it really goes on and on. In the film Get Out, it was gate 237, all the things that I've talked about with that. But notice here as well, again, just this coding. connected to 199. All right, and the reason I want to connect that for you is because, again, that is the same coding as 122. It's also the same as do what thou wilt, and you should be picking up now, right, how just deeply interwoven Botch is with all of this thelemic, just again, kind of elements. So if I can get it here really quick, there's one other pretty compelling piece. So yeah, so this was back on the same video showing you the span of time, right, between 9/11 to 3/11. But I want you to see the span from the pandemic start, March 11th, to the presidential election on November 3rd was 237 days, or 23 days and 7 months. So again, immensely important number there to be tuned into. So with these foundational pieces more in place now, let's keep going. And, you know, since this End of the Road tour has September 11 attack coded into it, I wanted to take, right, that attack and compare it to the final day of the tour. Now, I do have this pulled up over here because I want you to be able to see just this perfect moon number of 8118. Of course, the 18th letter is R. The 18th tarot card is the moon. And so you have this, right, just layered up. But look at this, 22 years, 2 months, and 22 days. Now, if that is not ominous as all get out, then I really don't know what the fuck is. Now, I want you to also take note here of this 266 months, because as we'll get into later, Knights in Satan's Service, one of the most common acronyms affiliated with KISS, the band, has a simple value of 266. All right, and so no fucking coincidence. We're also going to be looking at that 22 some more, because obviously it is a master builder number. But so before we get into all of that, let's keep pulling some of these pieces in. So again, the pandemic start date to the end of KISS's final tour, you will see here, right, 44 months, 22 days, right? Big numbers, very important. But I want you to also see, right, that it's a total of 1,362 days. Now, that's a big number, and, you know, obviously as far as simple values, we don't have, you know, anything that gets that high, but I used to do English values on here, which are tied to simple values. So you can see in English of 1362 is actually the same as a simple of 227. Now, I'm going to come back to this at the very end of this video with a lot of other coding that we'll get to, but that happens to be the same as R, Clow, Amen, Tower. And the reason that I have that coding is because for some fucking reason, YouTube has assigned me this handle with 16 attached to it, right? The 16th tarot card is the Tower. And so again, even if we go back here to this Chelsea Wolfe video and we want to see how this all connects in, well, so 11/4 is when Botch's We Are the Romans was re-released last year. We see 2/3, again, if I'm thinking Last of Us, right, it takes place initially in the year 2003, drop the zeros, 23, and then picks up in the year 2023, again, obvious, another 23 there, but you'll also see here coded out, right, the Tower, right, on and on and on I could go here. But I feel like that should be sufficient enough, right, to kind of have all of that in place. So, you know, with that, let's keep going here. So one of the things that I like to do is take my name and add the Roman numerals for the year we're in. And so for that, with 2023 Roman numerals, check this out. KISS, End of the Road Tour, and Botch 122. Now, what? That's just too much. I agree, but that's the way it stacks up. And again, impossible coincidences, right? Because they're not coincidences, all right? Meticulously crafted, whatever intuition that grabs a hold of me and guides me through these, right? All of this taking place at a much higher level than what we're accustomed to. All right, so notice here, emergency broadcast message. Of course, we get one of these in Last of Us. But look here as well, right? Lord of the Gates of Death, right? The reference to the 13th tarot card, all the things we could go into there. But I want to highlight for you some of these other numbers here. And I'm going to start with 216. And one of the reasons that I want to do that is because not only, right, is that obviously a number connected to Mark of the Beast programming, but you can see on the right side of your screen here how it connects into, right, these other huge pieces, including this idea of a zombie apocalypse, right, what's Last of Us about, and the law of the strong, right, strong surviving, but that's book 77 from Crowley, and all of the pieces that I could get into there. And absolutely worth mentioning at this point is that the first time that we are shown during the first real day of the full-on outbreak in Last of Us is 216. And so, also too, if we really want to, get fun here, Botch's last show that was recorded, the clip from the beginning actually took place on 6/12. All right, so the nice mirror there. And again, we could go on and on because all of this stuff is again very very meticulously planned. All right, none of this is by accident. None of this is just some shit that pops up. Again, this is all meticulously coordinated. All right, so now I'm gonna come back into this piece in just a second here. So let's jump back. So again, staying on here, and I'm going to come to 258 later, but let's look at 165, right? Another number written out in my coding for 2023. And you'll see here, right, Kiss' final show is 165. And it's the same as We Are the Romans, right? This is Botch's album that I literally just referenced, having been re-released on 11/4 of last year. Okay, and so again, our connections to the United Nations, the number 22, divide and conquer, and then 275 written out. Okay, and then 275, as you see here clearly, we were talking about in that last Botch video because it's the same coding as Mount Rainier eruption. Okay, you also have your connections to Temple of Understanding, 666 written out very clearly there. And you also have, of course, everyone's favorite, the World Health Organization. Now, let's take a second here and put something on blast, because I want you to see here the fourth meeting of this pandemic prevention bullshit that they're carrying out took place this year, 2023, started on February 27th, 2/27, right? Just like we were saying, is connected to R. Clow Amen Tower. All right, and then it ended on March 3rd, 3/3, all the things, right? Now, I want you to see here that the fifth meeting is set to take place on April 3rd through 6th. Now, this is obviously starting the day after April 2nd, the day that I am really honing in on today. But you can see as well, it gives us a very clear 36. And again, the 36 triangular number is 666. All right. We could really go on and on and on here. Now, I want you to see as well, you have the number 124 written out in this coding. And again, on the right side of your screen, you can see this is a very familiar number to us coming up. This is all just from last year's videos. But so again here, this whole idea of, right, post-apocalyptic commune, and just tying that into all the Station 11 stuff we did. And I want you to see here as well, Still Life with Red Bull's Head. One of the videos I did last year was actually about the Red Bull founder. And then what are the odds that the year that I make a fucking video about him, he dies that year? Not only did he die that year, but he actually died on October 22nd, 10/22. Drop the 0, that's 1/22. right? It's just fucking insane. But look at here. This is why I have this pulled up. Is Red Bull was first introduced on, right, April Fool's Day 1987, and so this year is actually going to make 36 years, right? So there's another 36 reference there. Okay, I know those of you watching right now are capable of understanding. So what I want you to see written out here as well is September 27. Now, in The Last of Us, and I'm going to get to this more later in the video, but again, wanting to get that baseline out there now, September 27 is actually the day that this full-on outbreak takes place, right? I'm going to show you how I arrived at that conclusion, but isn't it so fucking interesting to you that I just so happened to be focusing on September 27th last year and the year before, of all the numbers, right? Because for all the dates that I pick out, it's really not that many fucking dates. For all the actors, for all the band, there's really not that many. For the amount of time, years that I've been doing these videos, I only have 100 and something videos on here, right? So when these things come up, to me, beyond coincidental, and you can see all of the ways that was connecting into the 222 coding as well. All right, so again, all of this fascinating. We're going to come back to all of that, but so check out here, Kiss Into the Road. Of course, we always like to do, right, variations to, you know, glean more insight. And again, you have this 165 written out, so telling us that all of this coding here is actually immensely important, right? So you also have Third World War, Agenda 21, right, on and on. The number 107 is actually also a pretty big deal because, right, same as Mount Rainier, all of these other big pieces that you can have on the right side of your screen now, okay? And so I want to leave that over here because you can see more of this and how it connects to the previous videos. I'm really not pulling your fucking leg in any way here. If anything, I'm actually downplaying the impressive nature of these connections. And so again, we're going to get to 169 later in this video, but all of these pieces. So now let's do one more. So the release of 122 to the conclusion of Kiss's final tour is 1 year, 3 months, and 9 days. So that nice 139. And then, right, wouldn't you know, it's the same as Love and Doubt. This is one of the central lyrics in 122. And you'll also see here this linden tree reference. Again, from my videos the other year, we talked extensively about the linden tree and its overall significance, right? But notice as well, COVID-19, Behold the Coagulus is from Get Out. Again, another central piece to all of my videos. Groupthink. And then you have here the numbers 138. So that's a Pez theory number. And worth mentioning here with Kiss and everything, right? Because the whole kind of concept when I put Pez theory out, as you can see 6 years ago, it was first published on June 15th or 156. Is that I said that all of those pieces would play significant roles in the actual conclusion of this kind of modern experience of the world that we have. So, you know, not necessarily shocking to see, you know, Kiss come up like this, but it was certainly validating. Right now, I want you to also see here March 16th. And you know how that ties in. Remember, this was the first day that Moderna started testing their god-awful vaccine. Also do remember that 316, let's see if we can get the last one up for you here, is again sharing this coding from one of the lyrics from 122, as well as, right, novel coronavirus outbreak, as well as COVID-19, a pandemic of the deceived. Notice as well here, 222. You also have live in front of a studio audience, and, you know, for the handful of y'all, 5 of you, who interacted with my posts, you know, shout outs as always. But if we go back here to this last one, and I was talking about 316, it was because days after my Botch video, Kristen Clark, KC113, yes, another one, puts this tweet out asking if Mount Rainier is venting. And the tweet says Mount Rainier appears to be venting, and that phrase has a simple value of 316. So again, all of these pieces here, all the more compelling based on that, right? I mean, that's absolutely unreal. Now, I think with all of that, we are just about ready to jump into the second half of the video. One last thing worth saying while we're kind of honing in on these old videos here. This is February 9th, 2019. And remember all the way back then, right? I'm talking about the World Economic Forum. I'm talking about why is disease X a thing? All of the ways we've connected that to Woody Harrelson. You do see a nice 237 hidden up here. Remember David Blaine? The whole reason I brought this video up is because he actually spoke at that year's World Economic Forum on January 23rd, which was the 33rd day of the government shutdown. And again, it's another 23, if we're going back to this 2-3 coding. All of the things, y'all. I mean, it's absolutely stunning, the caliber of connection here. So what I'm going to do is give myself just a moment here so that I can make sure I'm not jumping ahead. And then we're going to switch gears and get into the second half here. So give me, again, just one moment, y'all. All right, so let's talk a little bit about Woody Harrelson, Mr. 238. So for those of you familiar with the channel, you know that we first started talking about Woody because of his iconic role in the film Natural Born Killers. Again, something I probably referenced in the first portion of this video. And again, we've actually talked about him a few other times due to him being in the film 2012 as well as Zombieland. There's been all sorts of, again, fascinating coding that we've done with him over the years. But the fact that Fate's messenger, all right, let's refer to him as Mickey Knox from Natural Born Killer. The fact that Fate's messenger, how he identifies himself as that in that film, comes out onto SNL and trolls everybody about the COVID pandemic. And I say trolls because, right, for as accurate as what he said was, Woody Harrelson is still a fucking tool, right? This is still a A-list Hollywood actor, and I refuse to kind of think otherwise about it, right? What he's putting out there is not because he has just finally had enough and wants the people to stand up. It's because his handlers have let him know now is the time where you can start doing this, right? So now that's kind of a part of his shtick, and you do notice, right, he's doing all these other interviews about, oh, we got to roll back the product, but again, it's not genuine. All right, it's just not. And so, you know, all the things, again, tying this into this, tying it to that. But before we get into, you know, kind of the bulk of what I want to talk about, he identifies himself in this SNL monologue as a redneck hippie, and so you can see the coding there. Spike protein, for those of you unfamiliar, this is the thing that is killing everybody very slowly. And remember, in my initial video about this whole COVID pandemic, I was talking about the fact that we know technology exists that can put something in that doesn't immediately catalyze its negative effect, that it can build up over time and later be catalyzed. And that is exactly what the fuck is happening with this spike protein. Right, so now notice as well, biological warfare, 1000% what's going on here. You also have the reference to Bill Gates, right? Again, one of the big fish here. Queen Bee, as I'll call him right now. All of the things, and right, him and his Moderna connection, since we were just talking about March 16, is absolutely right. Both fucking Seattle bases, all right? Anyways, United States, and then you have 217. Now, I'll come back to this number a little more later on, but again, based on what I've said so far, remember that's when Botch had their reunion show down in Tacoma, right? 217. So then, after Harrelson says he's a redneck hippie, he then says, right, he's a little red, he's a little blue, he says, I'm purple, right? And so again, how we can connect that in here to these major pieces, right? 911 written out, Knight of Pan, right? All the things. And for those of you with understanding, right, the 5 V's at the end. But what I really want to emphasize here comes from the fact that, not only did he deliver this monologue live in front of a studio audience, again, has that 316 coding, right side of your screen, but that the date he gave this on was 2/25. And so let's jump over here so that you can see very clearly, right? February 25th is when he gave this. And the reason that this stands out to me is because if we go, again, these are all from the first episode of Last of Us. But we see here this 2:25 time given on this clock. Now, as I said earlier, the first portion of this takes place in 2003, so that's why they have the picture of George W. Bush on the wall there, and we're going to break down this scene some more in just a minute. But 2:25 on this clock, happening to also be right the date that Woody Harrelson is giving, his whole shtick around this, to me, is in no way coincidental, right? It's actually deeply unsettling. And do remember, right, where was George H.W., right? Or George W. when 9/11, right? He was told about what he knew was going to happen that day, but, right, he was in a fucking children's classroom, right? Reading a book. Right, the pet goat, right, all of the things, right, this is of course all the fodder for all the I pet goat stuff, but again, the odds of that, not at all coincidental. And you know what, let's, we'll hold off for a second more on some of the other information. I'm gonna hold that until we really get to it. So let's pull this back up here, and notice here that Harrelson gave his monologue 281 days prior to December 2nd of this year. And so when we look at the simple value of 281, the first number I have written for you here is 247, because that is the simple value of our Clau Amen 2023 in Roman numerals, as well as these other huge pieces that we're talking about right now. And again, that is beyond coincidental, and it is simply stunning. Now notice here, you also have written out 266. And as you can see very clearly here, just below, it is the simple value of knights in Satan's service. Again, that reference to Kiss. And if we're going back here just a little bit, the part that I was telling you about, right, 266 months, on this span, on this, again, just very ominous date and everything there. I like the nice error message. Y'all can fuck off too. But so, you can see here with that 266 coding, right, our reference to Zelensky, he also gets September 23 written out, the 266 days, so let's keep our eyes on that. Notice as well 36 triangle, right? And again, I've already referenced that several times in today's video, so a lot there, and of course Gates and his evil motives. But let's stay on this 281 coding for a second here, because there's actually some more pretty major pieces. So Global Resource System LLC, I just want to at the very least put this on the radar, because I did find that this actually happens to be the company that is now, right, managing the Pentagon IP addresses. So they say that they are accountable for about 6% of the usable internet space. So that is a big chunk of influence that they have there. So I'm going to link you guys these articles so that you can check them out on your own and all of that. But here's another one, and again, this idea of masking a much bigger thing and what that has to do with, right, the mask mandates, what it has to do with 4.2, right, all of these other pieces. So again, I'm going to link all of that for you guys, but again, you can just see them coming up again and again here, and all of the peculiar things that you will find as you read further into them. Now, I also want you to see here this phrase. Well, we've got a couple of them here. So we will start, because these are all interconnected. You have plagues of the apocalypse. You also have Scientia, Ingenium, Veritas, as well as Saturn and Cross are the same, and the cross of the Illuminati. All right, so now what we're going to do here is we're going to look at that Latin phrase, because it's actually connected with a university in Lithuania, the Kaunas University of Technology, right? So there's a good chance that I did not pronounce that correctly, but that is okay, because this information here is going to stand all the same, right? So take a look here, and you can see that this university was founded, I'm not even fucking around, February 16th. 216, right? We have another one of those in the year 1922, right? We're talking about the profound importance of the number 22 in this video, right? In 216, like we were saying, let's go back to it, fuck it, is the first number we're shown during this outbreak in Last of Us. All right, so none of this, right? Not fucking buying. That's coincidental. And I want you just to see here that they list more than 144,000 graduates. And the reason that I have that is because in just a moment here, we're going to be talking about this Revelation 14 reference that comes up, and of course the number 144,000. Now, what the actual fuck, right? But let's go back here, because when I was looking at this agency, this university, right, and I'm seeing now here, right, these Ukrainian colors and all the bullshit that we could get into with that, but when I was poking around on their website, I decided for whatever reason to look at their honorary members, and look who it is. Klaus fucking Schwab. Yes. Mr. Fuck Your Life in 2017 was made an honorary doctor, right? And so I'm going to leave this for you so that you can, of course, right, look into all of this further, and you can see how all of these numbers further tie into all of this, right? And you can see his relations with all of this started in 1990, right? Drop the 0, 199, just like 122, literally still on your screen on the right side over here. And, since we're just tapping on everything, look at this, October 18th, connected to 122. For those of you that were paying attention earlier, I'm certain that you saw in our event 201, right? When did it take place? That's right, October 18th. And again, Klaus being made a honorary doctor in 2017. Drop the 0, 217. All right, again. So all of this is just, again, absolutely insane to me. So again, references to January 24th, 124. We saw that earlier, the future, all the things. And birth of the New World Order. You also have Revelation 14:4. Now, this coding is from Science, Creativity, and Virtue. This is the translation of Scientia Ingenium Veritas, however you properly pronounce that. But again, the motto for this Kanua's School of University of Technology, okay? And so, to me, all of that, supremely important. And if we take this down one more here, we can see the coding from their coat of arms, right? So here is the Latin phrase. And then here, of course, we have our nice, right, of course, sun worship. And then look at this ox with the cross, right? And again, when I come back here, and I'm looking at this 281 coding, and I see Saturn and cross are the same, and the cross of the Illuminati. So then I automatically start looking at this as Saturn representations over here as well, right? So put all of that together, you can see very clearly that whatever the fuck this university is into, it is not good news for the rest of us, all right? So in any case, back here looking at all of this, the reference here to Revelation 14:4, again 144, not only in the sense of that 144,000, I can pull up a 144 on this side of the screen for you as well, so you can have a little bit more of that now. And of course, right, 216, right, all the things, it's it's fucking frustrating is what it is, y'all. But so in any case, there's all of that for you on that side of the screen. And again, if we just pop over here to our Revelation bit, I just want you to be able to see this, because right, it's referencing this 144,000, and then right in the fourth bit here, these are those who did not defile themselves with women, for they remained virgins. They followed the Lamb wherever he goes. They were purchased from among mankind and offered as first fruits to God and the Lamb. So commodity, interesting. And this idea of the Lamb, right? So I'm going to come back here. Now, another phrase that's connected with this university is technology for humans. Let's see if I can get that one up on the screen for you guys real quick here. I think it's on their actual homepage. If not, I think I can come to the top of this one. Here you go. Yep. Technology for humans. Okay. And then so when I'm looking at that coding, I have wolf in sheep's clothing. Is that like those who follow the Lamb? It's something to think about, right? So notice as well here these ideas: conqueror of nations, USA history repeats, right? 7-pointed star, all the things. Because again, this 144 on this side is connecting us to Scarlet Woman. Do remember Crowley's Star of Babylon, right? 7 points, all the things I could talk about with that fucking number. But so with all of that, I think we are ready to get into the last kind of section for today's video, in which we're going to be talking about The Last of Us and what it has to do with all of these other bits here. So again, I am going to give myself just a second here to calibrate my mind so that I can hopefully keep giving y'all, again, the quality kind of shit that I love to do. All right, so give me 1 minute. Y'all see that fucking 3:23 as we're getting ready to start? Right on time. All right. So, okay. So as you can see on the left side of your screen here, The Last of Us has a simple value of 146. So here we go, right? There's my name. There's Liber 77 written out in Roman numerals. So on the right side of your screen, do remember that is referencing book 77, Law of the Strong, which we've talked about, right, today and many times, right? Simple value of 216. And again, you can see its connections to this whole zombie apocalypse thing, which again, this whole show is revolving around, okay? Now, I want you to also see here the connections to James Hutton. And again, this is the inspiration for Botch's Hutton's Great Heat Engine. That's the song I played at the very beginning of this video, right, about Rainier destroying all of us. And I want you to also see here the references to geriatric shit. All right. And of course, this references the film Get Out and all of the things that I talked about, with the next 9/11 being on some geriatric shit. And in this show, the first person that we're shown being affected by this virus is in fact a geriatric woman. All right. So no coincidence there at all. Right, let's not even this far in. Anybody still watching, I know that y'all are fucking rocking with me, okay? So one other thing that I do want to note here is that the show is based on a video game. And that video game happened to first be released on June 14th of 2013. So again, that can be written as 146. Just like it's coding, right? And so how all of that ties in, again, Six It Vobis, this is worth mentioning as the last phrase given for the tarot analysis in Crowley's Book of Thoth. And so all of that to say, right, it's really interesting that the outbreak in this Last of Us show starts on September 27th. Now, the way that I'm able to confidently say that, because it doesn't actually, say September 20th, right? So, but the day before, on September 26th, and I'm going to come back to this coding a little later on here, we're given this date, and then the way that the show progresses and the timelines, it's very clear that at the end of the day, right, and then when she wakes up the next morning, it is actually September 27th. And, I have it, interesting, because remember from Station 11, in that show, they said that the outbreak began on November 28th of 2020, which, again, was another year right on the fucking to a T that I had called out on with this coding. All right. So to me, that shit is beyond wild. All right. And so that is not an arbitrary date. Right. And so if we look at September 27th, we know that it is the 270th day of the year. And so, right, a simple value of 270 is the same as 2023. Imagine that. It's also the same as Centers for Disease Creation, which we know full well is what's going on here, right? This shit is not organic, right? This is all meticulously controlled and designed, all right? And so, again, this 176 coding comes up, which I've now pulled up on the right side of your screen. You can see it's written out on the left. But it takes us right back to this video in which we were talking about 927, all right, and 1128. So it's all there for you. And again, it's it's in no way contrived. All right, that's what's so interesting about this. Now, I do want to show you this coding here because you could see the purpose of COVID-19 and the COVID vaccine major side effect. Both those phrasings have a simple value of 303, which is the same as September 27th written out. And as you can see down here, right, the simple value of 176, you have 303 written out. Do you fucking do you see how insane that is, y'all? Oh my god. So in any case, with that, we can finally get into where I have written out here those times that are on the clocks, right, when she's going to sleep. And so again, the last time is 11:03, and then 2:16, all the things that I've been hammering on throughout this video in relation to those numbers and to those dates. All right. So with that, I want to get back here to connecting all of this to Woody Harrelson, to 9/11, to the last, right? All of it, and beyond, frankly. So, all right, let me make sure I've got the right. Okay, yep, all right. So you'll notice here, let's go back to class. And you have written out here, live out loud, no limits in blue. All right, next to our 225. So live out loud, right, just so happens to have that symbol of 156. Now you can see here there's Fate's Messenger, right? That's how Woody Harrelson as Mickey Knox in Natural Born Killers refers to himself, right? You also have, 666, 33, as above, so below. Doesn't get any bigger, frankly, for having all those on the same page. You also have a Song of Myself. Now remember, Jay Inslee, and just his fucking stupid ass, quoted Whitman twice when he was giving his initial address to Washingtonians with all this pandemic stuff. And I did actually a really great breakdown on Song of Myself and Walt Whitman, because again, just like all this, I was talking to you about the significance of Whitman well before Inslee's little speech there, and all of these other kind of pieces tied in, right? So all of that to say that if we combine the blue phrases from the wall back here, let's get it up, right? So you can see the blue. We then get this number of 267. And so part of why that's so interesting to me is you can see pretty clearly that it is the same coding as the World's Master Reset, as well as City of the Violet Crown. Now, if we look, I believe, do I not have, well, so I don't have Austin, Texas pulled up here. I mean, I guess we could do it real quick because, again, those of y'all that are actually here right now, you are very interested in what I have to share. So if we jump into Austin's little wiki page, we can see here that that is one of the nicknames, City of the Violet Crown. And again, when we're tying that into why all of this matters, right, Last of Us is taking place in Austin, Texas, okay? So obviously pretty important stuff, y'all. Now, let's go back here and, put all of this further together. So you see written out in that same coding is the number 178. So another big number. And there you have 144 written out. And I want to, of course, get as many of these as I can for you. But again, this idea of masking the beast, the Saturn matrix, right? Darkness, moons, all this stuff. But again, that 144, for those of you reading between the lines here, you've seen all of these bullet and pulling the trigger references have really been stacking up. So let's acknowledge them at this particular junction. And then let's also just set this foundation that the Marburg virus pandemic comes up in this 267 coding. Now hold that for a second because we're going to break it apart pretty extensively. But before we do, we have a piece that I've been holding off on all the way to this point. So let's go back to some of these images here, and again, let's start with this, and let's also show you this cat in this 315. And the reason that I'm wanting to get these on your radar is because if we go back, and again, you can see in my Nexium video here, again, this was another reference to an HBO documentary, The Nexium Hoax, and right, it's talking about Game of Thrones, all these other HBO pieces, because that is, right, a very important organization to break down. But I was discussing this episode of The Simpsons titled Whacking Day, right? That's all about serpent worship. And on that day, Bart is being homeschooled by Marge. And in the garage, right, we're shown this cat with crescent moon eyes. And the time goes from 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock, right? 9:11. And furthermore, Marge is writing on the board, right, this phrase, "the dog has fleas." So I'm going to play a second of this for you, just so that we can get this to the next image. We have this black and white cat with the crescent moon eyes, and we see first 9 and 11. We then see Marge writing. All right, so now the reason, right, that we have the 9/11 reference in there, and then how I have flagged "the dog has fleas," is because this almost perfectly mirrors what is going on in this classroom, right? Look, she's talking about the verb and noun structure of a sentence. Back here, right? Just like over here. And then you can see the subject is also referenced, right? Noun, verb, subject, right? Black and white cat, 9/11 references. And then in the next fucking scene, we have this black and white cat, right? At this 3:15 time where everything is starting to go sideways. Now again, this is so far beyond coincidental. It is predictive in its very essence. Okay? Now I want you to know that the dog has fleas has the same coding. It's a 130 coding as Washington. I believe Washington State. If I can get... Let's see if we can get a pretty thorough one for you here. All right, so you can see some of our 130. We've got Saturnian age, vaccinations, 7/7. There's the dog has fleas. 83, May 11th. This happens to, of course, be the day that they're saying that the pandemic is over. Right, and so if it's tying into all of this, be ready for something very interesting on that day. But I do want to see it in its relation to Washington. If we can get it somewhere on here, you're just gonna fuck me over because there's like 21 codings. But we do also have, absolutely worth getting into here, Mickey Knox shares that 130 coding. Illusion, Saturnalian, non-servium, right? I will not serve. You have Fatalist coming up back here. Again, how that comes up with all this 88 stuff that we constantly have talked about in the past. But so let's also take a second here to look at this clock from Last of Us, right? And so you can see that it says very clearly Kit Kat, and just like Kristen Clark, right, the one who did that Mount Rainier tweet that we looked at early in this video, it's KC, it's 11-3. I mean, how many more of them do you want? Okay, it's the same fucking show. And all the ways of breaking that down, of course, Kit Kat has a symbol of 64. There you have, right, both of my names. You also have Knox coming up, right? Thelema, all the pieces we've been touching on throughout here. I want you to see as well that Kit Kat 315 has a symbol of 185. Okay, and then so it just so happens that a symbol of 185, and again, you can see I've got a little context here, but when Mickey Knox is giving his big American Psycho interview, he says, love beats the demon, right? Love is the law, love under will, love in doubt, all the fucking things. Keep talking about in this video. But so you can see, right, how all of that ties into all of this coding we've done. Here is a much more extensive list of, right, some of the ways that we have seen this come up over the years, including, right, more Pez theory, right? That's what Lisa the Iconoclast is, you know, getting to the heart of there. But so with all of that, I can finally get to its 3:15, right? That's the time that we're shown here, of course, right? We have this sun clock, right? We have the cat that comes up after it. And, you know, as I had stated in the beginning of this video, right, you have Lebanon referenced with all of this 3:15 stuff. This to me is very reminiscent of an Eye of Horus, right? So hold on to that for what you will. But so, you know, as I very clearly and intentionally took this shot, right, of him saying it's 3:15, part of that was because, you know, it's very important. And you can see here, it's 3:15 as a simple value of 169. Now, before we break down that coding, remember earlier in this video, we have 169 written out, okay, in this kiss into the road coding, right, and all of these other pieces. And so there you have it, right, as part of its 3:15. And not only do we have, right, trauma room 1, this is where JFK was pronounced dead, but you also have the mark of the ox, as well as deadly injections, and 17-4. Again, clearly a I don't recall reference. But again, if I'm just holding on to that mark of the ox for a second, well, he's got the Saturn cross right above him there, if we're interpreting all of this correctly. And again, just to put that 174 back on the map for a second here, let's follow it all, right? 222, currency resets, right? Age of Aquarius, President Joe Biden, right? All these things that we have on the board. And again, if I'm just citing back to, you know, my kind of, you know, spot in all of this, the 174 tied into my post the other day, right? And all of the things, y'all. So now, this Marburg virus, very interesting. So you can see here, according to the Beast, causative agent of the Marburg virus disease has a case fatality ratio of up to 88%. Right, and we were looking at that 88 not at all very long ago here, right, in relation to false flags, right, Pangolin, Whitman, right, all the things here. So it's really quite endless. But in case you're wondering, you know, it's not like this is just kind of a one-off, right? This is from a couple days ago. You know, it was being written about as a hot topic, right, this Marburg virus. And if you go over and you just look for different you know, articles about this, you can actually see, right, the Sun, love it, right, and all of these other publications are writing to us about the Marburg virus, right? Nature, total fucking sellouts. NPR, total fucking sellouts, right? All of these assholes are writing about it and prepping you for the next thing, right? And so the fact that it's coming up with this coding in the way that it is, to me, makes it seem like this might be our new fucking ticket, right? And let's also consider that the Marburg virus has a simple value of 202, right? Drop that 0, there's your 22. Check it out, infectious diseases. Blood sacrifice ritual, All the World's a Stage in September 13, one of my favorite dates. Now, look over here as well, because Marburg virus outbreak, simple of 295, we have here President Donald John Trump. So how interesting will all that be as it plays out? But you also have the number 322 written out. So obviously that is a Skull and Bones number. And the reason that I flag it right here is actually because, right, this show, The Last of Us, premiered on HBO on January 15th of this year, 2023. And that date is 322 days before 12/2/23, when Kiss concludes their tour. Now, what the fuck, y'all? That is absolutely insane. Again. But look here as well, that the premiere date to 9/27, which again, date I've been focused on, date in the show is right related to the outbreak. Well, that's 256 days. 256 is the same as Hutton's Great Heat Engine, the song that, right, I opened up this video with. And if we pull it up here, just because I love giving y'all as much as I possibly can, here are the lyrics for that song, right? And again, it's a beautiful song, and it's brutal, right, orchestration, but troubling, right? And the fact that not only that, right, but again, just to remind you, right, James Hutton has that 146 coding, right? Same as The Last of Us. And so all of these pieces, y'all, it is absolutely stunning to me. Now look here as well, the date August 24th, right? When did Botch's 122 come out again? Oh, right, August 24th. Isn't that some shit? Right? And then you have this January 23rd, another 123 reference, okay? And again, the thing with that, David Blaine at the World Economic Forum, right? That was the day he was there. It's another 23, right? All the things that I've already touched on in this video. But so, all of that to say, and let's pull up the 252 for you, just so you have it. So, there's on the right side of your screen, right, connections to all of that, and just the incredibly profound nature. But so, as we get into the last leg of this video, let's look at how this all ties in to not only Chelsea Wolfe but WrestleMania, right? So let's pull up Chelsea here. And so remember, oh, so she's coming up here. So we'll hold the fucking line for a second. So, this popping up on this There Is No Before, again, this is in my Station 11 breakdown. You see Chelsea Wolfe coming up, but her initials, CJW, reduces 315. Okay, and so again, 315, right? Obviously, the time that all of these clocks, right, and what he's referencing here, we have this 315, and again, you can break this down as, right, 33 as well, right? All the things, but again, that 315 coming up on that. But then, right, when we look at WrestleMania Goes Hollywood, which is the way that this event is being advertised, right? So here we have that for you. We see that it has a simple value of 315. Okay, and just like I said earlier, this mirrored 93 master thelemic number, and all of these different ways that, right, Crowley stuff has come up. But so, again here, just through this, the reference to strength through wounding, Skull and Bones, Secret Society, right? We were just breaking down this 322 number. And then volcanic rapture eruptions, right? All the stuff with the Mount Rainier eruptions. But for all my eagle eyes out there, right, you've noticed throughout this video the references to Yellowstone as well. Now remember, that is the maybe one of the most popular videos on this channel from years ago, right? There's another Yellowstone up there for you. But That to me is very telling as well, of course, obviously. Unprecedented series of events, right? All the things. But part of why this stands out so much is because the main event is a guy named Roman Reigns. Now think of Botch, we are the Romans, right? And reign, obviously reigning over. So it's this idea of Roman influence and power, right? And of course it has a simple value of 133, which I'll pull up right over here for you. Okay, so you can see how this ties in with my Invasion Day stuff, right? All the things. There's that 113 for you as well, okay? I want you to really get that. There's the law and Thelema, right? All connected. 45th, if you want, you know, some extra credit here, look at Klaus Schwab, and you can see on here, he's the 45th honorary doctor, right? And so all of his global agenda council shit, right, that you can see written on here. But so you have this asshole, Roman Reigns, going against this other guy, Cody Rhodes, who's the son of Dusty Rhodes. And again, just the play on words here, right? His dad, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. You know, and just thinking about, right, the Rhodes, blah, blah, blah. But so look at Cody's coding, though. Cody Rhodes, symbol of 116, April 2nd. What? And that's the concluding day of this? Let's look at this as well. MVD, which is how CDC refers to this Marburg virus. It's a simple value of 39. It's another one for you. And let's bring it all the way around here, because I want you to see that Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes having that symbol of 290. And how does that connect to The Last of Us, you may ask? So again, if I'm looking back here at this image with Lebanon, now this back here, right, reads stormy, rain, change, fair, and very dry. And you can see that the hands are on stormy and very dry, right? These opposing forces, but they're unified in this. And so, well, if this is pointing to stormy and very dry, and Lebanon is the word that I have on the screen here, well, what happens if I write stormy, very dry Lebanon, right? I have a simple value of 290. And look at this, United States Invasion Day. What the fuck did I just connect 133 for Roman Reigns to? Okay? Notice another Yellowstone reference. He who solves the puzzle. Here's the United States government coming on board for that. If I just do stormy, very dry, well, there's my 227, right? There's my Arklow Almond Tower. You guys, it's a lot. It really, really is. And you want to take it a step further, right? So take a look at this. Sophie Stadium, and we'll connect it with more of these 33s. Fuck it. Coordinate of 33. There's that 118 for you too, right? That the event 201 took place on. But look, this 33. What do you think Lebanon's coordinate is? Yeah. Another fucking 33. Bad news bears, y'all, coming our way. That is insane. All right. What's even more insane is that due to this portion of the video, right, there's just the smallest handful of people that are going to be able to hear this and put this information together. I want you to see, because it's written out over here, 232, right? Fourth vaccination, right? All these other big pieces that come onto the table. In The Last of Us, I do want you to be able to see, right? This is the type of fungal infection that takes over, and it does have a simple value of 203. Again, all the 23s I was talking about. But, right, global pandemic treaty, huh? and how that also, right, has to do with this 227. Okay, I'll show you one more time. So come back to this, right? Global Pandemic Treaty talks begin on February 27th, 227, okay? And then so, right, you have, right, this hidden coding connected to all of that. Now, I want you to see here, this is one of the last ones, tying kind of the big pieces, some of them together for today. But right here we have written out Austin, Texas abbreviation, September. Right, just like I have it here, it's a symbol of 231. It's the holy morning of NBK. Remember, this was the Columbine shooter referencing the Natural Born Killers movie prior to the Columbine incident. You also have the elephant in the room, which again is tying us back to, my David Blaine World Economic Forum Disease X video, right? Well before. And in this shit, we're pointing out the big player. Again, I typically don't, but, again, a lot of big people called out by name and that well before, right? And again, I'm gonna refrain from going further, but I want you to see this last piece here for this coding: Marburg virus disease. Again, another one of the official ways that is referred to. All right, so there's one last little odds and end coding for those of y'all with understanding there. But so honestly, I think that's it. I think we actually hit on all of the tabs. I think that's just about everything I wanted to be able to share with you. The only other thing here that we could maybe put out, right, is this 322nd day of November 18th. Apparently that is Mickey Mouse Day. So we'll take that. But you know what? Actually, let's do one last piece of coding at the end here. Because like I was talking about, the connections between these old videos, right, with the dog has fleas, noun, verb, subject, and right, the 9/11 stuff, and then what we were talking about in The Last of Us, right, where again we're at school, and right, verb, noun, and subject are brought up. You know what, actually, since it's up here, smile, right, because we talked about this in our Linden Tree episode, right, that's an anagram for limes. Okay, so go watch my Linden Tree video, because that's really, again, there's a lot more there. I'm not going to try to go into at the end of all this, but let's see what this noun, subject, verb coding comes up, because something tells me there is a reason. So let's see what I've got connected from previous research. So it's the Puyallup Fair, which is from the Botch video, you guys. Oh, what the fuck. June 21, again, there's that 13-7 coding. Dante's Divine Comedy, right? All those words are 6 letters. Another 666 for you. Starline Tours, right? How this connects to Lana Del Rey. And right, guess what video I happen to have pulled up here for? It's very clearly a Lana Del Rey video. Oh, wow. Very, very interesting, y'all. That shit is fascinating to me. We can pull over up here and see, just what else we've got just kind of hanging out. But I think, that puts an exclamation point at the end of this particular video. So, and there's another January 18th. A lot of this 118 stuff hanging out. So keep an eye for that as well. But y'all, I think that is everything that I wanted to be able to cover in this video. So thank you all very much for seeing this all the way through. I know it's a very dense, very long video, but again, I feel like for those of you that have hung out, you are going to be able to have a lot to mull over here. For what it's worth, the appreciation I have for y'all is always beyond words. I'm so very grateful for those of you that do actually have the capacity to understand what I'm talking about. It's a very lonely road sometimes, talking about all of this, but so again, I appreciate y'all. Please be fucking safe out there, whatever's coming up. And I don't know what y'all's standings are just with universe and intuition, but take care of each other, take care of your communities. And if all this goes the way it does, y'all see me in a much different light before too long here. Okay, so thank you again, and please be well.